What a fun night tonight, huh? A great time to be together and a great time to celebrate, to worship and to call upon the name of the Lord and all kinds of great stuff. Well, you guys, this last week in the life of my family was a very interesting week for us. A very unique week for us as well, because it was just full of lots and lots of major, big chunks of life. Big chunks of celebration and those kinds of things. On Wednesday this last week, we learned that our son, Sam, is going to become our forever son. We've now shifted over from the foster side of CPS, and we're on the way to shift over to the adoption side of CPS, and so we're so grateful for that. Looking forward to years and years and years of seeing that young man grow. I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you for who you are, creating a place that is safe and secure for hurting kids. For hurting kiddos that then have a future that is amazingly bright, that is full of healing. And so thank you for being the church that you are. On Thursday, my bride celebrated the fact that she is completely done with chemotherapy, any type of... So as we currently sit here tonight, she's cancer-free, and at this point now she starts getting checkups every 3 months, and then eventually it'll get to 6 months, and then eventually it'll be an annual checkup every year. And so we were excited about that, and it was super, super fun. In addition to that, we are actually putting our house on the market this week. And so we were getting our house all ready to go, and in the midst of the packing and all those crazy things it goes with packing, my wife sticks her hand right down into a box that had a blender in it, slashed her finger open, 5 stitches later, here we are tonight. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And so these things, and we actually, we found a house that we think is kind of cool, and so we're just asking the Lord if this is the one. We put an offer on it, we'll see what happens there. So, I mean, it's kind of some big stuff, and then tomorrow morning at 6:30 in the morning, we pull out of town, and we're going to be gone as a family on sabbatical. And so, amazing week, right? Absolutely crazy. And so it is super fun to be here tonight. It almost doesn't feel it's kind of a little bit of an out-of-body thing to be standing here tonight knowing that all that's happened this last week, and that tonight with baptism and the celebration of that, we're going to get to partake in the supper here in just a little bit. Man, it's just what a thick night of worship and a strong night of celebration that it is. Tonight, you guys know that we've been in this series that we've called Fight Normal, which we want to go against the bell curve of handling finances as per our culture typically does. And because we know that we live a life that is to be set apart. Whenever we say yes to Jesus, we follow in His example. We know in that moment we're called to live a life that is what is known as holy, which means it's set apart from other life. It's not just a ho-hum every single day thing. And so this also includes our finances. And we want to make sure that with our finances that we're giving them unto the Lord, and we're functioning under His umbrella, under His economy of how He longs for us to handle the money that He has entrusted us with. We've talked about what it means to sacrifice, which is to say no to something that we love so that we can say no to something that we love even more. We've talked about what it means to prioritize God the Father through give, save, spend, 10, 80% there, right? We've talked about those things. And these are very normal phrases for us. We know these things. Tonight, we get into something we've not talked about when it comes to money. Tonight, we're going to talk about spending, or we're going to talk about investing. And so we're going to talk about what it means to invest in things and how we do this underneath the umbrella that God longs for us to do this. And so we're going to kind of go off into some uncharted territory for us. But obviously, investing has something to do with savings. And so we've talked about savings to a certain degree. Now we're going to talk about how to multiply that in a way that honors God the Father. Now usually, in any home, usually husband and wife couple, there's kind of a spender and there's a saver. Known as like the one who is kind of a little more the free spirit maybe in the family. And then you've got the other one who's the tightwad. We call him the nerd, all right, of the family. Those are the ones that, anybody in here have color-coded spreadsheets as far as your budget looks and all that kind of stuff? Bless you. Thank you. Who else is color-coded on your spreadsheet? See, come on people, y'all are near and dear to my heart. And we need each other because we get made fun of a lot with those kinds of things. We need each other because all you free spirits, you're going to thank us one of these days. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's man, I tell you what, it's so amazing how finances work and how God pairs couples together and all that kind of stuff. And when it comes to spending, you kind of are in one boat or the other, you know. And so tonight we're gonna make our folks who are savers, the bean counters of the family, we're gonna make all of you very, very happy tonight. It's gonna feel really good. But the thing is that we got to be really careful to not be out of balance. We can't be one way or the other, and that's why relationships are so beautiful, because we get to find balance. We get to find this beautiful spot where God longs for us to be, that's neither one way or the other, but it's right in that perfect sweet spot, that zone of blessing that God longs for us to live. When we look at my kiddos, I can see Elizabeth, Hannah, Emma, and Sam. And Sam doesn't understand money at all at this point now. He's 5. Elizabeth, Hannah, and Emma, we've been doing Give, Save, Spend with them since they had any idea what Give, Save, Spend, since they had any idea what a dollar bill was. And so we've been working towards that with them for a long time. Now, what's interesting to see is kind of the personalities of that. I look at my Emma. She's the one that's going to support us all when we're old. There's no question about it. Now, Hannah, she's going to give it all away. I mean, she's going to just going to go. She's like, it's money. Here. You know, I mean, she didn't give it up, and it's wonderful, it's beautiful. And Elizabeth kind of falls in between those two there, and it's intriguing to see. But what's amazing to me is how God has created us this way, and it begins to show up at a very early age. Did I just lose this thing? Nope, I didn't. There we go. It begins to show up at an early. Am I in and out?
Yeah.
Okay. This is why we have backup plans. All right, so there we go. Okay, so it's neat to see how things shift, or excuse me, not shift, but how things are already in motion at a very early age. One thing I want to encourage you parents that are in the room, please fan that flame. Please help them understand this is a generational blessing that you and I get the privilege of doing, to teach our children how to manage money so that they are not like this picture. And so that they can hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls that you and I have had to experience because we didn't perhaps maybe know God's economy and the way that He longed for it to work. So tonight we talk about investing. You ready? Here we go. Proverbs 6:6-8. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. The ant is crazy smart. We can learn a lot from it. Proverbs 21:20. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all that he has. We've got to make sure that we look at finances through these. It takes calculated, wise decision making to not devour all that God has entrusted us with. Just to make sure we're on the same page. It's not ours. Whatever money is in your bank account today, it doesn't belong to you. God the Father is who's given that to you. So wait a minute, Danny, I've worked hard for this. Yes, you've worked very hard for this. But remember, who gave you the talent you have to do what you do professionally? Who wove that into you in your mother's womb? With great anticipation for the way that you would handle the money that you made professionally in order to build God's kingdom here on earth. So we have to understand that none of it is ours. We're not taking any of it with us whenever we die. Well, it's going to make a huge impact for generations to come, hopefully. Guys, did you know that 55% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? Over half of America lives paycheck to paycheck. What that means is, if you were to lose your job today, you could not make either your rent or mortgage the next month. That's what it means to live paycheck to paycheck. 55% of Americans live that way, which means over half of our country is living in a very, very tight reality. It is a bondage reality in which the enemy, with one little thing, can rock your whole family, can rock your whole marriage, can rock your whole world with one little thing. Life happens one time and it rocks everything. We've got to fight this one. This is a norm that we've got to be laser focused on fighting. We've got to work so hard at this. And what this takes is, just as a little review from the last couple of weeks, it takes us prioritizing our dollars, okay? So here's how this goes. First and foremost, first line of your budget, tithe 10% to God, which means you bring the whole tithe to the storehouse. which is the church. You bring the whole tithe here, put it in the little black box over there, because God has a mission that we are on here as a church, that when we multiply all of our giving together, man, there's huge things that happen. Life change happens like what we got to celebrate tonight all over the world. Okay, this is not about the church making money, but it's all about God's kingdom funneling through and being built through this church, because the local church is the hope of the world. Anytime there's tragedy in this world, where do people go? They go to the church. Do you guys remember right after 9/11? What happened right after 9/11? The churches were overflowing with people. About a month later, folks began to kind of go back to their own rhythms and things like that. But this first 10%, we want to tithe 10% to God, prioritize to say, God, we know that you've given us the ability to do what we do. Thank you. And we bring that back to Him. So tithe 10% to God. Then from there, minimal living expenses. This is where we fight keeping up with the Joneses. Which what that means is when your neighbor gets a new car, it doesn't mean that your car is now worse and you probably need to get a new one too. Alright? When your neighbor mows their yard and gets new landscaping and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't mean that we need to do the same thing. It doesn't mean that we can't do those things, but we just got to look at this and think, minimal living expenses. What does it take for us to live a life that needs are being met? What does that look like? And for us to be content with that. So there's minimal living expenses. Then from there, we get the privilege of building an emergency fund, which what we talked about was, this is $1,000. The goal is to get $1,000 in the savings account. And then from there, you get to pay off all the rest of your debt from every other discretionary dollar that you can squeeze out of that paycheck that you get bi-weekly or monthly. So you want to pay off the debt, and you do this through the debt snowball, which means you pay the minimum on all of your high dollar debts. You pick the smallest one, and you pay down that smallest debt and get that one done first. Then you take whatever you're paying on that debt plus the minimum payment that you have been applying to the next largest debt, and you begin paying that down. Once that's done, then you see how this snowballs and it begins to get bigger and bigger, and you see some momentum that takes place relatively quickly. So we want to pay off debt, and then after we do that, then we allow money to serve us. We allow money to not be the thing that controls us. We now get to live like no one else in a lot of ways and invest. And so this is where we boil down what this looks like. So what are we saving for? Okay, so in order to get to the investment, we have to save for the emergencies. Okay, so the emergency is not when your phone breaks, you need another one. That's not an emergency. Okay, really and truly, when your phone, it doesn't mean when you need to upgrade your phone, this is an emergency, I need to go get the latest, greatest. So therefore, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about plumbing issues in your house. We're talking about air conditioners going out. We're talking about, whenever, things happen and you've got a major mechanical failure in your vehicle that gets you to and from work. Those are emergencies. And so we're saving towards those emergencies. And then from there, we want to save towards purchases. All of this are budgetary items. We want to save toward the purchases that we see coming. So this would be things like, I noticed just the other day, our couch is kind of crazy, okay? So we haven't started saving towards that. We're going to have to start saving towards that here in the near future. Things like that, where you delay those purchases that you know are going to need to come. Christmas. Rather than going into debt, save year-round getting ready for Christmas. So that when Christmas comes, you can go ahead and pay for it and not let it be something that puts you in the hole. It's something that you can be in front of. Perhaps maybe it is a new vehicle that's coming and you need to save towards that. We want to save towards these. So these are future purchases, or these are purchases that we know are to come. And so now we get into the investment piece, and we want to talk about the future. And this is things like college. This is things like if your child is 5 years old and you had braces whenever you were 12 years old, you might want to start saving towards that. That's a major expense that's coming your way. So you start putting those things aside. And then from there, retirement. Retirement is one of those things that we need to begin thinking about whenever we look down the road. You don't want to get to the place where all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I've got 10 working years left on this earth. As long as my health holds out. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do on the other side otherwise. We got to make sure we begin thinking about that. So there's the future expenses that are to come there. And so these are the things that we're saving for. Do you notice how little time we're talking about spending?
This is what it means to live like no one else. We're saying no more than we say yes, so that someday we get to say yes like no one else. It's really important to wrap our minds around this, because this is the way that we get released financially. So tonight, 2 ways to make money. There's 2 ways in order to make money. Number 1 is people making money. All right, so all you single ladies that are in here tonight, this would be like you picking a guy who's got some money, okay? So this is that idea, yeah, you know, I mean, make some good choices here, okay? Because you want to make sure that you pick a guy who's not going to mess things up. And don't pick one that's got a bunch of debt. No, anyway, I'm totally kidding about that. But at the same time, choose wisely, ladies, please. Marry a guy with some potential, right? We need to do that. No, this is the idea of people making money. This is where you got a job. And you're making this money every day of your life. You're working towards, you know, supporting your lifestyle that you have. Very clearly, the Bible's pretty clear about this. I think life's pretty clear about this. 2 Thessalonians, if a man won't work, he won't eat. Man doesn't work, not going to eat. And that's it. And so we got to work here at this. A man will not work, he shall not eat. Very, very important. So that one is understood. Then from there we get to making money. This is the second way to make money. Matthew 25:16. The man who had received the 5 talents went at once and he put his money to work. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? Put his money to work and he gained 5 more. So this is wise steward of money. Our job is to make sure we're helping money to multiply and work for us rather than us working for money. But here's what this looks like, though. It's really important that in order for us to be able to put money to work, in other words, money making money, we've got to have some rules when it comes to investing. Rules of investing. Number 1, avoid investing in things you don't understand. All right? This is a major piece of the puzzle. Avoid investing in things that you don't understand. Proverbs 24. By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. But it takes wisdom. And so the most important thing is that if you don't understand the investment that you're looking at, please back away from that cliff. If you don't have someone who you can trust to help you understand those things, please back away from that cliff. It is so important to understand where you're placing your money so that you're telling it what to do rather than it telling you what to do. This is why somebody that you can trust that really understands these things, that can begin to explain them to you. Like in my life, I am so thankful for the financial advisor that I get the privilege of talking to. I'm so thankful for him because he never looks at me like I have a stupid question, even though I got some really dumb questions, because I don't get it. And I'm not that smart. Thank goodness he's way smarter than I am. And as I get the privilege of talking with him, I have complete trust in the fact that he's giving me wise counsel. He loves Jesus, and he lives out these investing strategies himself. And so therefore I know that I can trust him. He can help me understand things at a whole new level. And so it's important that you got someone that can help you with these things. So please trust, and make sure that you got it. Because, you know, when you start talking about low risk and high risk and moderate risk and overseas stocks and all this kind of stuff, you start talking about those things, they get amazingly confusing very, very quickly. And it's hard to understand. And so please make sure that you're investing in things that you understand. Because otherwise, sometimes the best investment is one you don't make. If you don't understand it, back away. And that may be the very best investment you can make, because you're not worried about that thing getting sucked down the drain by somebody else because you didn't quite understand what you were doing. So really important here, avoid investing in things you don't understand. And then from there, avoid putting all your eggs in one basket. This is where you guys hear the phrase diversification. It's important to diversify your investments. We want to avoid putting all of our eggs in one basket. Scripture, Solomon tells us this. He says, give portions to 7, yes to 8, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Which what this means is that you need to make sure that you got that money going all kinds of different places, because you never know when one of those may go down and have a bad day. And so you don't put all your eggs in that one basket, because if that one basket goes down, then you're sunk. And so we want to make sure that we're diversifying and avoiding putting it in one basket. It's kind of like you guys have heard, do you guys know what dillo dirt is? You know what dillo dirt is? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's got poop in it. Did you know that? If you had a whole bunch of it in a pile, what's it like? It's stinky. It's nasty. It's yucky. But man, what happens to your yard when you spread that stuff out? Ooh, baby. It's pretty, isn't it? It fertilizes perfectly. Makes things level. It's nice, isn't it? But man, you put too much stuff in one spot, all it does is stink. The idea is, look at your money. If you got it all in one spot, be careful. It may start stinking on you, because it may just have a stinky day one day, and that stock may just plummet, or something may happen. You got all your eggs in that basket. You got to be careful. Don't let the enemy do that to you. So we've got to avoid putting all of our eggs in one basket. And then the last thing is this. Avoid, oh my gosh, please avoid trying to get rich quick. This doesn't work. It doesn't work. You've got a better chance of getting struck by lightning like 85 times before you're going to get rich quick. Okay? And I'm not going to encourage you to go running around with a lightning rod in your hand so that you better your chances of getting rich quick, okay? I don't want to encourage you to do that. But avoid trying to get rich quick, please. This is not biblical. There is nothing in Scripture that says, do this and you get rich quick. There is nothing in there. But everything about Scripture is over time. It's what takes time. So avoid trying to get rich quick, because as Paul helps us understand, as he was mentoring his protege Timothy, he said, people who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap. They fall into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. This is the truth. If you're trying to get rich quick, get ready for destruction. But if you're in this thing for the long haul, get ready for freedom, because that's how this works. The fastest way sometimes, you guys have heard this phrase before, fastest way sometimes is to double your money, is to fold it and put it right back in your pocket. That's good, isn't it?
That's good.
That's good stuff. I read that. That was cool. Anyway, Proverbs 13. He who gathers money little by little makes it grow. That's it, guys. This is it. This is God's economy. Little by little by little. Just let it gather. Let it invest. Let it make money. Now I'm going to tell you guys some really, really cool things. Focused intensity. This is a formula you guys have seen us talk about multiple times. This works in so many different discipleship. It works in finances. It works in so many different realities. But here it is. Focused intensity, which means you're focused on this, okay? Focused intensity over time, multiplied by God, equals unstoppable momentum. But what it takes is focused intensity. We can't go all squirrel on this thing, okay? We've got to be focused on this and then let it happen over time, where we live like no one else so that we can live like no one else, right? Over time. And then we multiply it by God and allow Him and His economy to bless this in a way that He's throwing open the floodgates, all right? He's throwing open the floodgates, and then we understand at that time unstoppable momentum. Money plus time plus consistency equals wealth. Money plus time plus consistency equals wealth. This is the way it works. There's no get rich quick scheme in this at all. This is the way it works here. And let me show you. All right? $5 a day invested at 12% over time. Check this out. $5 a day invested at 12% over time. If you do it for 5 years, $12,250. You fast forward, those of you who are 25 years of age, if you can go $5 a day for the next 40 years, that's $1.7 million. If you can do it for 50 years, if you're 20 years old, you go all the way to 70, check that out. Talk about money making money. Whoa! You think you can live on that? I think I could. I don't know. But you gotta look at this, $5 a day. Now you gotta think, okay, Danny, now that's like $150 a month, right? Well, that's too much for you. Go $1 a day. You go $1 a day, check this out. $1 a day, and you invest that at 12% interest. Check that out. So for those of you that are wondering how this works, you take your age and you think retirement, let's pick the year 70 years old, all right? So take 70 minus whatever your age is, and then you look here. For the next 40 years, that'd be $313,586.97. That's $1 a day. That's $30 a month. 31 some months, 28 other months. Right? This is how this works. But do you see, over time, this is how this multiplies. But if you don't get anything else tonight, please get this phrase. What you do with what you have reveals what you believe. Okay? We can talk about money, we can talk about investing, we can look at the biblical economy that God has set up. But this here is the most important thing we get tonight. Because investing is great. But if you don't know how to handle it, and you don't know what to do when God multiplies your intensity over time, if you don't know what to do with that and understand why He's multiplying that, why He is the multiplier, it's not so that you can go on every cruise known to man after age 70. Okay? It's not so that you can go and buy the biggest house possible. It's not so that your kids will never have to work another day in their lives. That's not God's economy. God's economy is so that He can funnel more money through you in order for people to tangibly understand Jesus is alive and well today. That's why we invest. We invest so that our kids get it. They understand money at a whole different level, so that then they can leave us in their dust. And that they can invest at a level that we know nothing about, because they're going to start earlier than we did, and therefore they're going to have more in order for God to allow them to be generous with. And you think about ending hunger on this planet. You think about making sure that everybody on this planet has clean water to drink. You think about making sure there's not a child on this planet that has no shoes, and they're running around getting disease and all that junk. See, this is the impact we're talking about. It's not so that we can be the end user of the money. It's so that God the Father can bless, can care, can heal, can resource, can feed, can clothe, can get shelter for people, can do all of these things. This is why we do this. This is the purpose of money. God's economy is for it to flow in and through us, in and through the church, His bride, so that the name of Jesus is the name that every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that He is Lord. That's the purpose of money. So whatever you do with it reveals what you believe. If you believe God is blessing you in order for you to spend it, it reveals that. If you believe that God is blessing you so that He can multiply that into other people, that shows it to you. Because Jesus invested in people. Over and above anything else, He invested in people. He invested on bringing God's kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. So therefore, relationships are first. Everything through relationships. And so we follow His lead. So guys and gals, this is a big deal. And when we start talking about money, we start talking about living a life that reflects the person of Jesus, it's so important that we allow the most tangible expression that people get here on this earth to be the storyteller of Jesus. Cool? That's our challenge. Now pray with me. Lord, I thank You for tonight. And I pray, Lord, that You will help us tonight to see. Those numbers on the screen are really, really big. Lord, let us see those numbers through Your eyes. Let us see those numbers the way You see them, the way that You long to impact the planet. And Lord, let us see those numbers from a lens of generosity, from a lens of all the students we get to send to youth camp this next year, all of the missionaries that we're going to support all over the globe, sending other people, perhaps maybe even sending ourselves across town, across a state line, whatever, in order to care for Your people. And Lord, I pray tonight, let us get it. Let us open up our minds, let us open up our hands, and let Your will be done. So Lord, we ask for that freedom. And Lord, we ask for You to give us the privilege of sharing Your story through this silly little thing called money. We pray this in the name of Jesus.